Hello, this is Sarah with Posh Pooch Designs, and today's video I'm going to show you how to make this headband or ear warmer that looks like a turkey. I wanted it to be a little bit silly so that it would be fun for, say, a family picture or something, and still be cute enough to wear. I'd wear this, I sure would. So this measures the lengthwise about 20 inches, 18 to 20. And it's really easy to adjust smaller or larger just by adding or subtracting rows. And 2 rows equal an inch. It measures across this way about 4.5 inches. So it's not too wide to wear as a headband, but it's wide enough to you can pull it over your ears and keep your ears warm. So what you're going to need to make our headband is you're going to need some worsted weight yarn. And for this project we used the Red Heart with Love, which is one of my favorite yarns to work with, in this brown color. Let's see, it's called Chocolate. Looks like chocolate to me, for the body of our headband. And then I used this Red Heart variegated fall colors to do the curls, so that it looks a little bit like feathers, but not really, just for fun. And then you're going to need some red, some white, some yellow, and some black, all worsted weight yarns for the features, the eyes and the beak and the little gobble. And those are all, like I said, worsted weight yarns. We're going to be stitching today with an H hook, and this of course is my favorite H hook. You're going to need your scissors to cut, and you're going to need a needle with a nice big eye so we can sew our parts together. So gather up your supplies and let's get started. Alright, let me pull out some yarn here. I do want to remind you this is a free pattern on my blog. It's a brand new pattern release, and it's called the Turkey Gobble Headband and Ear Warmer. And so to get started, oh, and that is free on my blog. Just go over to my blog and you can get it from there. All right, we're going to start with the slip knot. And then we're going to chain 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And of course we're starting with the band portion of our headband. All right, we'll be stitching long ways. We're going to be starting here, and we'll be stitching long ways, and that's how you adjust the size. Like I said, just measure it. 2 rows equal 1 inch, and you can measure it according to your child or your person's head that you're making this for. All right, now also remember when sizing is, if you make it too big, it will slip off because yarn's a little bit stretchy. I always subtract an inch, just FYI. All right, so we're going to place 1 double crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then we're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the chains across. And just in case you don't know what a double crochet is, yarn over, go through the stitch or the chain you're working, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, go through the first 2 loops, yarn over, and go through the second 2 loops. And we'll do this all the way across this first row. There we go. So we'll have 13 double crochets. And the way this band is worked, let me get that paper out there, it keeps getting caught. There we go. The way this band is worked is we stitch it the long way, like I said, and then we sew it together at the end. So this is really a simple pattern. Let me count my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Need one more. I thought I did, but I thought maybe I got off by one. All right, 13 double crochets. We're going to chain, let me look on my notes here. We're just going to chain one. All right, and this is the row. This is row 2. This is the row where we begin our texture stitch, because you can see the texture in our band just has a little bit of just a fun texture. I think it makes a nice warm headband. So what we're going to do is we're going to place a single crochet in the first stitch. And a single crochet, you go through the stitch, pull up a loop. There's 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and go through both those loops. So we did a single crochet for the first stitch. The next stitch is a double crochet. And what we're going to be doing is all the way across, we're going to put single crochet, double crochet, all the way across. There we go. Single crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next stitch, and we'll do this all the way across this row. So we started with single crochet, and then we did double crochet, single double, single double, single double, all the way across. We ended on a single crochet. We're going to chain one, and we're going to turn. Now, it's real important that you pay attention to your stitches, because when we turn, we're going to be doing the opposite. And so we ended on a single crochet, so we're going to place a double crochet in that single crochet. The next stitch is a double crochet, so we're going to place a single in the double. And we're doing the same thing, double, single, double, single. We're just making sure that our double crochets are stitched in single crochets and our single crochets are stitched in double crochets. And that's how you get the pattern or the texture of the stitch. And it's really easy to get off, so you're going to have to really watch what you do. And you'll see as you're going across, placing your single crochets in the double crochets and the double crochets in the single crochets. Single, double, all the way across. And you'll end up with a double crochet on the end. Let me go ahead and chain one. And you can see, I'm going to hold this up so you can see that texture stitch. The first row is all double crochets, and then the next row we started with a single, and then we went double, single, all the way across. We chained one and we turned. And because we ended with the single, our first stitch is a double. And then we double, single, all the way across, and you'll end with a double. And you'll repeat these 2 rows, rows 2 and 3, making sure to always place a single in a double and a double in a single for as many rows as you need for your headband. That's how the texture stitch is done. And you'll do this according to my pattern. You're going to do this for, it looks like, 42 rows, including this double crochet row. And you'll do this up through row 42, and then we'll place another row of double crochet. So we're on the next row. Our first stitch, our last stitch that we ended with was a double crochet. So we're going to place a single crochet in that double crochet, and then we're going to place a double crochet in the single crochet. And I hope I've explained this so that you can understand it. The rows are all stitched the same, double, single, always placing a single in a double, and always placing a double in a single. And you'll do that for 42 rows for the adult size headband, or as many rows as needed for whatever size headband that you are making. Double, single, double, single. So now I've stitched as many rows as I need for my headband. For the pattern, you needed to stitch up through row 42. But remember, 2 rows equal an inch, and you can stitch less rows or more rows for a headband to fit whoever you're making it for. All right, so for row 43, we're going to chain 1. Oops, I already did that. And then we're going to place 1 double crochet in each stitch across. And this is the end, and we're doing 1 double crochet in each stitch across because this will give us a nice even edge to stitch together. So 1 double crochet in each stitch across, whether it's a triple, whether it's a double or a single, you'll only place 1 double crochet in each stitch. And you should have 13 stitches, 13 double crochets. After we make the eyes and the beak and the little curls and the gobble, we'll sew it together. But I don't want to sew it together just yet because it's a lot easier to do it after we have the pieces on. So we just stitched a row of double crochet, and we're going to leave our yarn attached and just set it aside because then we're going to come back and sew that together. But what we want to do next is to make the eyes, the beak, the gobble, and the little curls for the headband. The first part that we're going to make is this cute little eye. I've already made 1 because we need 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a slip knot with our black yarn. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to place 6 single crochets in the second stitch, or second chain I should say, from our hook. So we need 6 single crochets in the second chain from our hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, there we go, 5, 6. And I know the dark black is hard to see. This is the only part we're using black on, so just bear with me. All right, so we stitched 6 single crochets, and then we joined with a slip stitch to the first single crochet that we started with. So now we're going to join in our white yarn. I'm going to chain 1, snug that down. That one's got a really long tail on it. Let me cut that just to get that out of the way. All right, so now we're going to place 2 single crochets in each of the single crochets around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, last one, 11, and 12. Now we're going to join to that first single crochet with a slip stitch and chain 1. And I know we have a little bit of a hole here, and as soon as we do this next row and tie off, I'll show you how to fix that. So for row 3, we're going to place 1 single crochet in the first single crochet, and then we're going to place 2 single crochets in the next one. And we're going to repeat this all the way around the eye. 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, all the way around the eye. Once we do our 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets all the way around the outside of the eye, we're going to join to that first single crochet, and we're going to tie off, but make sure you give yourself a little bit of yarn because we're going to need that to sew it onto the turkey. So let's go ahead and tie that off, and we're going to turn it over to the back side. And the reason we're doing this is we want to close up this hole. See that hole right there? We want to close that up. And what we'll do is we'll thread one of the black strings on our needle. We'll move these out of the way, and then we'll go around these stitches on the first row, and basically we're just gathering it up. We'll just gently tug on it, turn a little. We'll go around the rest of those stitches, and we'll just close that up just like that, and then we'll just weave it in a little bit so it doesn't come out. And then we'll also need to tidy these up. I'm just going to put a little knot in those for now so that you can see them. And we're going to flip this back over. We'll go ahead and cut this one off. And there's our eye. So now we have 2 eyes for our turkey. So we're going to set those aside. And the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to make the beak. To make the beak, you're just going to need a little bit of yellow yarn or orange yarn if you want your beak to be orange. Or you could even use a light beige if you wanted your beak to be light beige. So let's start by chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to place 2 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. So there's 1, 2. And now we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn. And then we're going to place 2 single crochets in each of those single crochets we just stitched. And that will give us a total of 4 single crochets. So 2 single crochets in each single crochet. We started with 2 and now we have 4. Chain 1 and turn. You can see it's starting to become a little bit of a V. So for row 3, we're going to put 2 single crochets in the first single crochet. Then we're going to place 1 in each of the 2 in the middle. And then we're going to put 2 single crochets in the last. And that gives us 6 single crochets. Chain 1, we're going to turn. And then we're just going to place 1 single crochet in each single crochet across. Now you can leave your beak this way if you want to, but I wanted to single crochet down and across here just to give it a little bit of a finished look. So you just evenly go down the side, placing 1 single crochet at the end of each row on the side, and then down here in the center we're going to place 2 single crochets. So I did my rows, and then I single crocheted evenly down the side. I placed 3 single crochets in the point of the beak, and then I single crocheted back up the side. And the last thing that I did is I went ahead and I single crocheted across the top because I felt like it made it just a little bit more even. And then I left myself, I tied off, joining to that first single crochet, and then I left myself a little bit of yarn so I can sew it onto my turkey. So the next thing that we're going to make for our turkey is this gobble, and it's just a tiny little curl. It's really simple to make. With our red yarn, make our slip knot and chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's our chain. And what we're going to do is we're going to place 3 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to place 3 single crochets in each of the chains. And what that will do is that will make it curl. You can see it's already starting to curl. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. I think it's adorable, to be honest with you. I really do. It really worked out really nicely. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to leave those last two chains unworked and just place a slip stitch. And make sure you give yourself a little bit of yarn so we can attach that to our headband. The last thing we need to add to our headband are these fun little curls. And I did them out of the variegated. You could do 3 different colors if you wanted to. I just thought it was fun to use this autumn variegated yarn because it's just so pretty and bright. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to chain 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Pull some yarn out. Those back over there out of the way. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place 1 double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. And then we're going to place 2 more there. So we did 3 double crochets in the 3rd chain from the hook. And now we're going to place 3 double crochets in each of the chains moving down. And as you can see, the curls already starting to start curling around. I just love curls. They're so much fun. My mom didn't crochet. And once I learned how to make these, I was so excited to be able to make these for my own daughter. And I used to make tons of curls for her hair. All different colors. So much fun. Alright, so all we're doing is we're placing 3 double crochets in each double crochet down our chain. One more in that one. One, 2, 3. Alrighty, 1, 2, 3. And then we get to the last chain, 1, 2. Then we chain 3 and slip stitch in that last chain. And then we're not, if you're going to do 3 different colors, you'll want to tie off. But I did them all the same color and all out of the same yarn. So what I did is instead of tying off, when I got to the end of my chain, I just chained 11 again. And then I did the curl coming right back up. And that's how I got the 3. I chained 11, I did my curls, then I slip stitched. Then I chained 11 and I did my second curl. I came back up here and I slip stitched. And then I chained 11 and I did the 3rd curl, and then I slip stitched. And then I sort of tied a nice little knot in there so that it would stay put, so I could put it on my turkey all together. I felt like that was easier than having to tie off and on, and I thought it worked out really great, and I like doing it that way. To put your pieces on, we've got to decide exactly how we want it. I've got all my pieces ready. I tidied them all up, got all the ends all sewn in, and I've got to decide where I want it. Now, I decided to kind of make mine a little off kilter so the turkey would sit kind of to the side. And so what I did is I kind of laid my eyes out at an angle. Here's my beak. We can adjust that if we need to. It's kind of up to you. And I'm going to put my gobble up here. This is my feathers. Put those up there. And then, of course, the gobble goes right there. So that's how I'm going to assemble my pieces. So what I did is I set them there, and then I moved them so I could remember where I wanted them, but I've got them laid out the way that I want them. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is put on my eyes. So I'm going to set one there. I've got my needle and my yarn, and I'm just going to go all the way through and stitch around the edges of the eye. One thing to remember when you're putting your pieces on, that your headband is going to be stretchy, so you need to make sure that you don't stitch too tightly. You want to leave a little bit of give as you're stitching your eyes on. Stitched on both my eyes, and I'm going to show you on the back. You just stitch in a circle and then use your needle to weave in your ends. Oops, these scissors. There we go. All right, and cut that off. So here is the front of my, and if your eyes look a little puckered, that one does, you can kind of stretch it out a little, make it nice and round. And the next thing we're going to put on is the beak, and you're going to do it pretty much the same way. You're going to use your needle and thread it on, going through the back and stitching down. I like when I'm at the point like that to kind of go back a little. Just gives it a little bit of, I don't know, making sure it's going to stay put to me. I don't want to put a lot of work into something and then the pieces not stay on. You want them to be secure, but you also need to remember to make sure there's a little bit of give, like that. So the same thing, we're going to stretch that out just a little. I could have used just a little bit more yarn. Normally I leave too much on there. It's a good idea to have more than you need because you want to make sure you have enough to weave it in. And we'll go to the back and we'll go ahead and weave that in like that and cut that off. Alright, so now we're going to join our gobble. I've heard it called a waggle too. And the way we're going to do that is I'm going to push my hook up right next to the beak, and I'm going to pull that through to the back. Then I can adjust that however I want it, turn it over, and then I'm going to use my needle to weave it in through the back stitches on the back side, because I don't want it stitched down. I want it to kind of waggle about, jiggle about. I don't know what the right terminology for that is. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot like that. Give it about 3 good pulls. Cut that off. That way we're not stitching it down, it's loose. That's the term I was looking for. All right, and we're going to do this pretty much the same way. And it's kind of up to you how close on the eyes you want those, how far up. I like it right about there. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to poke my hook through and I'm going to grab those pieces of yarn. And then I'm going to use my needle. And I'm just going to go through a couple of stitches with that one. There we go. I do the same thing with the other one. And this just makes it stay attached and stay put. I mean, you could just tie a knot, but I just want it to stay put. Like I said, if I'm going to work this hard on something, I want it to work and want it to last. And we'll do the same thing. We'll just add a couple of nice tight knots. And these knots are small. They're not going to hurt anybody's head. All right, so we've got all the pieces on our turkey hat. Is that not the cutest thing? All right, it is. It's adorable. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we need to put our 2 ends together. And I like to do it on the back. So this is the front, and we're going to put our 2 ends together like this. We're going to go through this side, grab that loop, then we'll snug that down. And now basically we're just going to single crochet across, or you could slip stitch. Either way is totally acceptable, and I think I kind of like the slip stitch better myself. You can single crochet, you can slip stitch, or you can take your needle and sew it closed. Any of the ways are fine. Just remember, don't pull this too tightly or you end up with it being puckered. You should have 13 stitches on each end to work with. And I pull it through, I kind of snug that one, then I snug it back. It just makes it a little bit even. I grabbed something that wasn't as, there we go. Alrighty. Now we're almost done. There we go on that last one. All right, we're going to give ourselves just a little bit so we have something to sew with. And all we need to do is take this needle and thread both those ends. There we go. And that just gives us a good tie off, because when you're wearing a headband, it's going to have a lot of pull and stretch, especially on those ends. So you want to make sure they're going to stay. And so I just do a couple of quick whip stitches on the end. 2 or 3, depending on how much yarn I have. And then I just tie that off over to the side. All right, give it a good stretch. And there you have it. Our Turkey, Goggle, Headband, and Ear Warmer. Happy Thanksgiving, and remember to be thankful.